The national lockdown has been extended by 2 weeks. The Ministry of Home Affairs has issued fresh guidelines. National lockdown has been extended till May 17th. No lockdown relaxation in red zones. So the lockdown has been extended. There were speculations over what would happen next because there was no official word from the centre. Earlier today, Prime Minister Modi had chaired high-level meetings to decide on what to do. While it's extremely important to ensure that we save lives, the Prime Minister had also spoken of ensuring that livelihoods are also saved. But now the official word is in. The Union Home Ministry has extended the lockdown till May 17th. So the lockdown has been extended by 2 weeks. It goes without saying that in the red zones, the lockdown norms are going to continue being extremely strict. All the metropolitan cities come in the red zones, including Bengaluru, Delhi, Mumbai. These are the cities that are in the red zone, and there will be no lockdown relaxation. But Prime Minister Modi had chaired a meeting with the Union Home Minister Amit Shah as well as the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman earlier today. And after the meeting, the official guidelines are here. The national lockdown has been extended by 2 more weeks. Fresh guidelines have also been issued. We'll get you more details on whether any of the activities that have been barred so far will be permitted now in this third phase of the lockdown. Let's go across to my colleague Adarsh, who's joining us live from the newsroom with more details on this. Well, Adarsh, there were several speculations on what next. Some were also expecting Prime Minister Modi to address the nation. That has not happened. It has been quite a hectic day for the Prime Minister today. Earlier today as well, he had held a high-level meeting. Just a little while ago as well, he held a meeting with the Union Home Minister and the Finance Minister. The national lockdown has been extended by 2 weeks. Fresh guidelines have been issued. Take us through the details.
Well, Pratibha, this is lockdown 3.0, very clearly what we're getting to see. And yes, Prime Minister Modi has been busy, not just today, but for the last couple of days. He has been holding hectic parleys with the who's who of the political circles, ensuring that he takes consensus, that he takes suggestions from the various ministries so that he gets to know as to what the ground situation is and as to how to go about the lockdown itself. Now, talking about the press release that has been, that we have procured at this point in time after a comprehensive review and in view of the lockdown measures having led to significant gains in the COVID-19 situation in the country, the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, issued an order under the Disaster Management Act 2005 today to further extend the lockdown for a further period of 2 weeks beyond May 4th, 2020. So, yes, May 17th is when the lockdown will be reconsidered again as to what will happen to that. The MHA also issued new guidelines to regulate different activities in this period based on the risk profiling of the districts of the country into red, green and orange zones. Now, there you have it. This is where the color demarcation of the zones really comes into the picture. When it comes to Karnataka, we have at least 3 red zones in the form of Bengaluru Urban, Bengaluru Rural and Mysuru. These are 3 areas, these are 3 districts which have seen a huge surge in the number of COVID-19 cases, and hence they come under the red zone, which means there will not be any kind of lockdown relaxation in Bengaluru Urban, Bengaluru Rural and Mysuru going forward, as per this latest press release given out by the Ministry of Home Affairs. And the guidelines have also permitted considerable relaxations in the districts falling in the green and orange zones. That is exactly what we've been seeing for the last few days as to how the government has gone ahead and eased the restrictions when it comes to the green and orange zones. So we will see more such easing of restrictions when it comes to these 2 zones, but status quo will in a sense be maintained when it comes to the red zones across the country, not just here in Karnataka. Now, the criteria for identification of districts as red zone and orange zones have been spelled out in detail in the letter dated April 30th. We've discussed constantly as to what is a red zone, what is an orange zone and what is a green zone. Red zone is something where you constantly have the number of COVID-19 cases on the rise, whereas orange is something, a zone where where the number of cases has been kept a watch on, kept a tab on, and it has been restricted in a sense. When it comes to green zone, it is a zone that is in a sense unaffected more or less by COVID-19. So it is only those green zones that will continue to have more and more relaxations even after the 3rd of May. But when it comes to the red zones across the country, there will not be any relaxations whatsoever. So the government has made it clear as to what these 3 zones are and what kind of districts, what are the cities that come under these 3 zones. Now, when it comes to the big metropolitan cities across the country, right from Hyderabad, Bengaluru, Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, all of these major metropolitan cities come under red zones. So there will be a strict lockdown that will be observed even beyond May 3rd, even beyond May 4th till the 17th of this month. Now, the classification of district as red zones will take into account the total number of active cases, doubling rate of confirmed cases, extent of testing, and surveillance feedback from the districts. Those districts which are neither defined as red nor green shall be classified as orange zones. The classification of districts into red, green, and orange zones will be shared by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare with the states and union territories on a weekly basis or earlier as required. So you will have the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare Department, in a sense, go ahead and apprise the states as to what are those districts that will fall under the red, green, and orange zones. Now, this is data, and these are zones that are very dynamic in nature. They keep changing depending upon how well the district administration, the government on ground, the health officials on ground are able to keep a close check, close watch on the number of cases. So it is completely dependent on that, whether your district, whether your area and city falls under the green zone, orange zone, or the red zone. So this classification and the cities and the districts that fall under each zone, they keep changing depending upon how well the city or district does. So that in a sense is what the press release has spoken about. They have given a lot of weightage to the demarcation of zones, the red, orange, and green zones. So when it comes to the orange and green zones, when it comes to green zones particularly, there will be some relaxations that we'll get to see, but when it comes to red zones, status quo will in a sense be maintained. There will not be any relaxations, and this includes some of the biggest cities in the country, places where you've had number of COVID-19 cases only on the rise. So yes, May 3rd has been an important date given the fact that many people on the ground have been expecting, have been optimistic that the lockdown will in a sense be lifted, or at least more relaxations will be announced. But that is not to be the case when it comes to the red zones. Obviously, you cannot go ahead at this juncture, give more leeway, more relaxations in the red zones. That will only take the situation out of control. So the government getting down to business, saying that red zones will continue as they are. The lockdown will continue in these areas. But when it comes to green zones, you will have some relaxations. Now, yes, the lockdown itself, we have spoken so much about it, the kind of impact that it has had, the kind of economic impact that it has had on the country, and also the kind of impact it has had on the common man on the ground. So with all of that put together, it seems as though the Indian government is in a sense trying to cater to both sides, because they have to ensure that the businesses are up and running, because the economy is already in doldrums, it's in ICU, and if something is not done at this point in time, it will be the death of the financial institutions. The mechanism itself will fail when it comes to the economic side of it. And also you have a lot of people on the ground struggling to make their ends meet. So they're trying to ensure that they take both the sides together and do the best thing forward. So bottom line really is 2 more weeks of extension when it comes to the lockdown, and yes, it will be felt thoroughly when it comes to the red zones. The green zones, on the other hand, may begin to see a few more relaxations going forward, Pratibha.
Right, stay with us, Adarsh. In fact, in some big news coming in, no railway, air travel, metro and bus services will take place during the lockdown. Schools and colleges will remain shut during the lockdown extension. Hotels, restaurants and pubs will also remain shut during this lockdown. So there might be easing of restrictions in a few zones that have not seen any positive cases, but there will still be no railways, air travel, metro or bus services. Schools and colleges will also remain shut. Hotels and restaurants and pubs will also remain shut. So in a sense, all of these services will not be available. Well, Adarsh, coming back to you, these were some of the questions that people have been asking. People have been wondering about the same. The fact that several people have been stuck in different states and want to return home. They were wondering about public transport. and several people, students, had also been wondering what next for them. So those clarifications have also come in. Schools and colleges will remain shut. Railways and air travel as well as metro and bus services will also be suspended during the extension.
Yes, indeed, Pratibha, that has been the situation so far, and it, in a sense, will continue going forward. No form of transportation will be allowed. Schools and colleges will remain shut. So will be the restaurants, malls, and pubs and bars. So this has been the case so far, and people were hoping, people were expecting that a few of these services will be thrown open to the public come May 3rd, post May 3rd, or at least there'll be some sort of an easing of restrictions, but that is not to be clearly. And yes, we were speaking about how there are several people who continue to be stuck in various places. They're all migrant workers who want to get back to their hometowns, but in this particular case, with the lockdown extended and with no mode of transportation open for them to really get back to their natives, it is ultimately the prerogative of the state government itself to ensure that the facilities provided to the migrant workers so that they're able to get back to their hometowns. And that's what we've seen several states doing on a daily basis. They have ensured that bus services are provided for all these migrant workers so that they're able to get back to their homes. But again, the bigger question is, what about the owners of all the restaurants, the pubs, the bars, and of course the malls, schools and colleges? What about the education? Are we looking at a further extension? And if so, then the studies of the students cannot really stop. So how will the authorities ensure that the academics are continued, the education for students is continued? So whether we are looking at a major overhaul when it comes to the style of education itself, whether it will be more online, so to speak, because things are getting delayed and things are only getting piled up. So for the students, it in a sense becomes quite hectic if the lockdown were to continue in this manner and if classes were not to be held. So a lot that needs to be discussed, given the fact that you have the extension that has been announced. And yes, with the third extension announced, and with up until the 17th of May, nothing will be open. So how the government also goes ahead and gives out the compensation is a big question.
That's right. But let's also take a look at how things will change. Private companies can operate during the lockdown. With 33% staff, essential services will be available in all the zones, and interstate travel remains barred during the lockdown. However, goods vehicles for essentials will be allowed. So there are a few restrictions that will be eased as well. In a few cases, the restrictions are going to continue. Like we spoke about, the travel restrictions, schools and colleges will be shut, but there are also going to be easing of restrictions, and this was a staggered exit from the lockdown that was spoken about. Private companies can now operate with 33% staff. Essential services will be available in all the zones, but interstate travel will remain barred. Well, Adarsh, so staggered exit from the lockdown was something that was discussed, and perhaps now, because the cases are coming under control in the entire country, this decision was taken that the lockdown will be extended, but we're also seeing easing of restrictions in a few services.
Oh yes, indeed, Pratibha, as you mentioned yourself, it is a graded exit that we are seeing, and very interesting as to how the private companies have been allowed to operate, albeit with just about 33%, one-third of the overall strength. Now, remember, back in the day, or not too long ago, you had the Deputy Chief Minister Ashwath Narayan himself right here in Karnataka speak about how, when it comes to the IT companies, for example, most of these are private companies. So the government had gone ahead and had said that only the skeletal staff, the bare essential people, are allowed to go ahead and carry out their work from their offices. The rest of them need to work from home. So if we were to take that into picture, then 33% is obviously a further relaxation in a sense, because now we're talking about one-third of the population that can get back to their offices when it comes to private companies. So how will that really pan out in, say, a city like Bengaluru? You will obviously have more and more people heading out to the streets, and how that, in a sense, will be taken care of is a big question in itself. But yes, not too many relaxations. Interstate travel has been barred, so that also factors in when it comes to the migrant workers themselves, how they will get back to their hometowns. But again, when it comes to the question of their shifting to their hometowns, that would not come into this picture, because in this particular case, you have the government itself going ahead and providing that service so that they're able to get back. So a few relaxations, and lockdown will be in place, but a few of those relaxations that we were talking about, a graded exit from the lockdown, which is what the chief ministers about 2 to 3 weeks back had pitched to the Prime Minister during their Prime Minister Chief Ministers conference, that a graded exit is the right approach to the lockdown itself. So that is exactly what we are getting to see. One by one, slowly, we have more and more services that are in a sense being thrown open. So if there are services that are already open, the government is allowing more people to get back to their workplaces, if that's the case. So yes, a relaxation nonetheless, and an extension also nonetheless, Pratibha.
That's right, Adarsh. So talking about now the difference that has just come in, of course, we are seeing that several restrictions are going to continue. Like you mentioned, the districts have also been each classified into the red, green and orange zones. So this also means that in the red zones, the lockdown is going to be much stricter than it is in the other areas. But one of the biggest factors is that all the metropolitan cities come under the red zones, but these are the cities that also boost the economy that much more. These are the cities that provide much more to the economy, so that's going to be extremely difficult. And at the same time, another challenge is also going to be, of course, how to ensure that from a red district it does not spill over to the other green or orange districts. Some more big news coming in. Public gatherings remain banned during the lockdown. Cinema halls, malls and gyms will remain shut during the lockdown. Only 3 people are allowed to commute in a car during the lockdown. Only 1 person can travel on a bike during lockdown. So these are some of the restrictions that were in place already. 1 person on a bike. Now only 3 people will be allowed in a car. Public gatherings, of course, remain banned. Cinema halls, malls and gyms will also remain shut. So all of these places that see a huge gathering, people gathering in huge numbers, there is a ban on that. It is not going to be allowed. On expected lines, of course, even if in a few areas the lockdown is eased, public gatherings, cinema halls, malls and gyms will still not be allowed. Well, Adarsh, so this of course is one of the decisions that has been taken, and this perhaps was a very expected decision as well in the districts where the lockdown perhaps might be a little more eased as well. Public gatherings and cinema halls and malls, these are some of the places that see a huge amount of people, a big crowd, and that's clearly going to be a big no-no for a long time.
Yes, Pratibha, when it comes to all of these places, public places which usually see a lot of crowd gathering, when it comes to all of these public spaces, they will be out of reach, out of bounds for the days to come, and that's again the need of the hour, because if you have too many people crowding at a place, then it defeats the whole purpose of the lockdown itself, and you have social distancing thrown to the wind and nothing really works out in the end. So the purpose, the motive seems to be very clear. The government wants to ensure that social distancing is maintained, and that is the reason why you have the government also speak about the number of people that are allowed to travel in a car and a two-wheeler as well. So it's only 1 person on a two-wheeler and 3 people in a car. Obviously, if you have a pillion on a two-wheeler, then there's no social distancing whatsoever. So all of it being considered and ensured that the government is ensuring that on ground, when people are out and about carrying out their business, they are not flouting the social distancing norms as well. In fact, I have more details right here with me when it comes to the red zones. Let us get into the details about what will be open, what will not be, what are the nitty-gritties. Again, we as Bengalurians, we fall into the red zone. So let us take a look as to what is applicable for us in the red zones that are outside the containment zones. Obviously, we're talking about 3 containment zones right here in the city in the form of Padarayanapuram, Bapuji Nagar and Hongasandra. So in the red zone outside the containment zones, certain activities are prohibited in addition to those prohibited throughout the country. These are plying of cycle rickshaws and auto rickshaws, running of taxis and cab aggregators, intra-district and inter-district plying of buses and barber shops, spas and salons. All of this will be out of reach when it comes to the red zones. Certain other activities have been allowed in the red zones with restrictions. Movement of individuals and vehicles is allowed only for permitted activities with a maximum of 2 persons besides the driver. So that's why they said 3 people. So one is of course the driver and 2 passengers. So all in all, 3 people in a car is what the government has said. And with no pillion rider in the case of 2-wheelers, only 1 person, we discussed. Industrial establishments in urban areas, that is the special economic zones, the export-oriented units, industrial estates and industrial townships with access control have been permitted. So SEZs, now we were talking about how the cities are a major source of revenue, of finance, of income when it comes to the country itself. So it is these special economic zones that are in the periphery of each city that really makes a lot of money. So there have been a few relaxations when it comes to the special economic zones as well. Also when it comes to export-oriented units, industrial estates and industrial townships with access control having been permitted for them. The other industrial activities permitted are manufacturing units of essential goods, including drugs, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, their raw material and intermediates, production units which require continuous process, and their supply chain. So none of the medical aspect, none of the medicine aspect of it will be hindered, will be hit with the lockdown. Any company that is manufacturing anything to do with medicine can continue to do so. Now all of this is, it also comes under the manufacturing aspect of it, and all of these are industries in a sense that we're speaking about. The manufacturing of IT hardware, jute industry with staggered shifts and social distancing, and manufacturing units of packaging material also. So all of this in staggered shifts. You do not have a case where people in large numbers can go to their workplaces and carry out their work. So it is all staggered shifts that we're talking about.
Right. In some big news coming in, people above the age of 65 will not be allowed to go out. People with prior ailments will also not be allowed to go out. OPDs and medical clinics will remain open in all zones. Non-essential movement will be restricted from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Some big news coming in is that people above the age of 65 will not be allowed to go out. People with prior ailments are also not allowed to go out. OPDs and medical clinics will remain open in all the zones, of course. Non-essential movement restricted from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So these are some fresh guidelines that are just coming in. People above the age of 65 or those with prior ailments are at a higher risk of contracting COVID-19, which is why this decision has been taken. But this would also be quite harsh on the people. Well, Adarsh, this is a fresh guideline that has been issued. People above the age of 65 will not be allowed to go out, but this could also have, you know, another side of it. Several people who are suffering at home need to step out as well, and a decision like this also being taken by the government, of course, keeping in mind that these are the most vulnerable section of society.
Pratibha, now the need of the hour is that nobody really falls sick, and when it comes to people with ailments, people who are also battling age, most of them, a few of them at least, have issues that they're dealing with almost on a daily basis. Now these are people that are also more susceptible, more vulnerable to catching the virus. So the government saying that people with any such ailments are also not allowed to step out. But yes, if they have a situation where they need to go to the hospital, they will be allowed to, because again that's a medical emergency and they need to go to the hospital to, in a sense, save their life. So if that kind of a situation so arises, then people will be able to go out. But yes, this the timing that is coming into the picture, we're talking about how 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. non-essential activity, you're not allowed to go out. So that's again a strict rule. Now it almost seems as though despite there being lockdown in place, in between these hours 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. there seems to have been a lot of traffic, a lot of activity that the government may have observed, and in a sense noticed that there's no reason why people should be out beyond 7 p.m. and before 7 a.m. So the government coming down on that and saying that people will not be allowed when it comes to these areas. Now coming back to the red zone, the activities that have been allowed that we were discussing, construction activity, again this pertains to the migrant workers itself. Construction activities in urban areas have been limited to in situ construction. Now in situ construction is a situation where if you have the required labor on site already, then such construction activity can take place. Construction can go on if migrant laborers or if workers don't have to be brought in from elsewhere. So if a construction manager already has his group of workers who will work on that particular site, then the construction can really go ahead. That's what in situ means. When it comes to all standalone single shops, this is again very important. The small shops, the common man usually runs it. Neighborhood colony shops and shops in residential complexes are permitted to remain open in urban areas without any distinction of essential and non-essential. So how will this really pan out, given the fact that you're talking about social distancing, you're talking about how to ensure the lockdown is maintained, but on the other hand, you're also talking about easing those restrictions a little bit. But this point, in a sense, is quite a relaxation that you're talking about, how these standalone single shops, neighborhood colony shops, and shops in residential complexes now have the permission to remain open. Now, this includes even in urban areas, which are mostly red zones. So how will that really pan out is a different question. E-commerce activities in the red zones have also been permitted. That again will obviously be a boost for the economy. Most of the commercial and private establishments have been allowed in the red zones. So commercial and private establishments are allowed to function in the red zones. This also has a lot to do with ensuring that the country is able to rake in enough moolah and also ensure that people are employed and they're able to earn some money. These include print and electronic media, IT and IT-enabled services. IT services, there you have it. So they're allowed to function when it comes to the red zones. Data and call centers, cold storage and warehousing services, private security and facility management services, and also services provided by self-employed persons, except for barbers. Can go ahead and can provide their services except for barbers. Manufacturing units of essential goods, including drugs, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, their raw material and intermediates production units, which require continuous process, will be allowed to function. And orange zones, yes, you have in addition to activities permitted in red zone, taxis and cab aggregators will be permitted with one driver and one passenger only. So if your district or city falls under the orange zone, then you may as well be able to open Ola and Uber and catch your cab, but you'll have to be the only passenger along with a driver. Inter-district movement of individuals and vehicles will be allowed for permitted activities only. So again, specification is needed as to what are these permitted activities under which we can really carry out our inter-district movement. Now this is only for orange zone once again. Four-wheeler vehicles will have a maximum of 2 passengers. Besides the driver, and pillion riding will be allowed on two-wheelers. So driver and pillion in the orange zone, and four-wheelers will have a maximum of 2 passengers besides the driver. So that's again the case in the red zone as well, as to how driver plus 2. Even in orange zone you have driver plus 2. In the green zones, all activities are permitted except the limited number of activities which are prohibited throughout the country, irrespective of the zone. However, buses can operate with up to 50% seating capacity, and bus depots can operate with up to 50% capacity. So when it comes to the green zone, buses will begin to ply, but 50% seating capacity in the buses, 50% capacity in the bus depots. So how will the managers on ground ensure that they're able to keep a tab on that 50%? Obviously, this is being done to ensure that social distancing is maintained between passengers when they board their bus, when they are seated for their travel, and also when they are probably waiting for their bus at the bus station. So only 50% capacity. So whether it will be first come, first serve basis, in a sense, if I buy my ticket first, I get to travel, and what about the rest? So a few questions really arise over there. All goods traffic is to be permitted. No state or union territory shall stop the movement of cargo for cross land border trade under treaties with neighboring countries. No separate pass of any sort is needed for such movement, which is essential for maintaining the supply chain of goods and services across the country during the lockdown period. So when it comes to the essentials, they will be allowed to travel pan-India. Doesn't really matter which district to which district, which state to which state. If a particular vehicle is carrying essential commodities, essential items, then they will be allowed to travel. Now, when it comes to all other activities, will be permitted activities which are not specifically prohibited or which are permitted with restrictions in the various zones under these guidelines. However, states or union territories, based on their assessment of the situation and with the primary objective of keeping the spread of COVID COVID-19 in check may allow only select activities from out of the permitted activities with such restrictions as felt necessary. So despite there being a lot of relaxations being provided, if a district or if a city feels that no, these are too many relaxations, then they can certainly take a call and reduce the number of relaxations. Back to you, Pratibha.